How's the egg coming? What's up, Nerd Squad? Welcome back to Top 10 Nerd. I'm your host, Connor Monroe, and things are getting interesting here, more than usual. If you're new or just haven't yet, be sure you hit like and subscribe for daily nerdy content, and ring the bell to be notified about our uploads. Also, make sure you're sticking around until the end because our number one spot is happening soon. Heroes can go bad, or sometimes they were bad from the start. We explore those today in this list of the top 10 superheroes more interesting as supervillains. Number 10, Captain America. When Steve Rogers said Hail Hydra at the end of Captain America Steve Rogers number 1 in 2016, comic books exploded. Not only did this shock everyone, but it made critics furious. Later on, it revealed that at one point Captain America had been transformed back into a young man again, but this whole restoration was orchestrated by Red Skull. So while restoring him to a younger man, he also changed the timeline to make Cap a sleeper agent for Hydra, planting seeds for their takeover throughout history. Seeing such a textbook hero and soldier be turned into a Nazi was something no reader was expecting. It made such an impact on how people viewed Cap, and even Avengers Endgame made a reference to it. When Cap needs the scepter from New York in 2012, he has to pretend to be a member of Hydra, since he knows that everyone else essentially is. No matter what you think, it was a good scene in both the comics and the movie, but it was an altered timeline that had been reset, so it only slightly counts, hence why it's at number 10. Number 9, Scarlet Witch. This child of Magneto has been in the comics for several years, and is a villain turned hero, starting off working for her father, but later joining up with the Avengers alongside her brother Quicksilver in order to seek redemption. This was the case for a while. However, after the death of her two sons, Scarlet Witch had a nervous breakdown and used chaos magic to orchestrate multiple attacks that appeared to come from other villains. These attacks ended up destroying the Avengers, killing Ant-Man, Hawkeye, and Vision. Shortly after this, she fell into an unstable state. However, Quicksilver was able to persuade her to create the House of M alternate reality, which began in June of 2005, and even replaced the main 616 universe for a time, until it was reverted. After things went back to the way they were, it was said that the events of House of M took place on Earth 58163. Number 8, Cyclops. When Marvel tried to make Scott Summers more interesting by assassinating him, some readers began growing concerned with the character. After he had mourned the loss of Jean Grey, he got married to another woman and had a son, who would later become Cable. But when Scott learned that Jean was alive, he ran out on his family to be with her. Years later, in order to save his son's life, Scott merged with Apocalypse, and this would change Scott forever. After he was restored, he distanced himself from his new wife Jean and began a psychic affair with Emma Frost. He also started down a road towards extremist mutant views. When Jean died again, he kept his relationship with Emma going, and when the past sins of Professor X were revealed, Scott made the professor leave the school. Eventually, Scott was possessed by the Phoenix Force, which caused him to kill Professor X and remake the world into a totalitarian state. While we love a good guy, Baddie Scott is definitely an interesting character, and I would love to see this explored more on the big screen. Number 7, Sinestro. Now, some people think that Sinestro has always been the villain, but this is not the case. You'll also know this if you've seen the wonderful Ryan Reynolds Green Lantern movie. Mwah. Long before Hal Jordan fell into Parallax's uber-villain grasp, Sinestro took the trip from being Green Lantern to Yellow. Being from planet Karugar, Sinestro's hunger for protecting his world and keeping peace turned into a dictatorship of absolute order. This all happened while he was still a Green Lantern. When the Corps found out, he was stripped of his ring and sent into the antimatter universe, where he got a yellow ring based on the power of fear. He's been Hal's arch nemesis ever since. Eventually, Sinestro created his own Power Ring Corps, which included Parallax, the Anti-Monitor, Cyborg, Superman, and Superboy Prime. Other colors popped up in the emotional spectrum, and this is what caused the Blackest Night War. Sinestro is one of the few heroes to have gone bad and not returned. Number 6, Superwoman. Superwoman from Earth 3 is Lois Lane as an Amazon. She is a member of the crime syndicate, and I've talked about her before, so oh my does she have quite the resume. She had a dysfunctional relationship with Ultraman, an affair with Owlman, and another affair with Alexander Luthor, the crime syndicate's greatest enemy and Earth 3's hero. She even had a kid with him too, not to mention her lasso of not truth, yes, submission. She also posed for some provocative photos for James Olsen in exchange for him doing her favors. Based on the pictures, I don't want to know what kind of favors they were. Evil ones, in all honesty. She is kicking all kinds of ass and apparently taking pics of it too. And if you're maybe slightly too much, bam, you got a lasso of submission around your neck and you're asking for more. In all honesty, I prefer this version of Superwoman, and I'm hoping for more stories surrounding her and the crime syndicate as a whole. Halfway through, and at number 5, Robin. When Jason Todd died in the comics, it was considered to be one of the few comic book deaths that stuck around and that mattered, having a great impact on Batman and his superheroing as a whole. But when he was brought back as a supervillain, that's when things got interesting and kind of ridiculous. After this, it seemed like no death in comics was permanent, and now I am honestly skeptical of every death I see in TV shows or comics, or movies, since eventually they'll just be brought back. But as Red Hood, the character of Jason Todd found his calling. Red Hood is such a good character, especially contrasting with his Robin persona, and that mask is pretty badass, let's be honest. When Joker also used the Red Hood name, it was weird in my personal opinion, but that Jason Todd version, mwah. Number 4, the Hulk. Maestro is an alternate future version of Hulk from the Hulk Future Imperfect story arc. This version of Hulk is stronger, more experienced, and much more ruthless than the version we know. After Earth is torn apart by nuclear war, the Hulk's powers get amplified because of all the radiation in the atmosphere, so he unites the world and rules under an iron fist. Modern day Hulk gets transported to the future because reasons, and sees what can happen if he gives into his inner rage. Him and Maestro instantly go to war, and Hulk had to defeat Maestro by sending him back to the time when the gamma bomb that gave him their powers had first exploded. That wiped Maestro out on the subatomic scale. No regenerating from that one. Seeing what Bruce is capable of, it was really shocking, and honestly made me think about how much this current Hulk must be holding back, and how seeing that could shape the Hulk to be better than himself. So beautiful. Number 3, Ozymandias. Ozymandias is also referred to as the smartest man in the world. He is one of the 2 main antagonists of the Watchmen comic book series, and one of the main protagonists of its sequel in 2017, Doomsday Clock. He is a former superhero turned billionaire, industrialist, and CEO. He secretly concocts a plan to unite the world and prevent World War III by killing millions of people through a fake alien invasion he planned to stage. His plan fails, obviously, because it's complicated as hell, and he shifts to searching for Dr. Manhattan in order to save the world. While his plan is complicated and convoluted, Ozymandias as a villain is far more interesting than him as a hero. Smart villains are always a thrill, unless they literally know every possible universe, so seeing him as a villain is really something to watch, man. If you weren't mad at me for number 10, here's number 2. Number 2, Batman. Batman has always been seen as the hero, fighting the criminals of Gotham and doing his best to rid it of crime. And when Batman was created, this was seen as a good way to fight crime, by actually fighting it. However, in recent years, society has started to see vigilante justice as dangerous and sometimes as insane as the criminals you're fighting. In this limited run published monthly starting on October 4th, 2017, Sean Murphy wanted to depict Gotham as an actual city with real world problems. And the way Batman fights crime won't work with movements like Black Lives Matter and the growing wage gap. So Batman is treated like the villain. Who is the hero, you ask? Well, a Joker who has been cured of his insanity and becomes a politician. While seeing the roles reversed is definitely interesting, there have also been Batman who were just straight up evil, my favorite being Red Death, but it's actually awesome to see a character who has been around for so long be depicted as a villain. Number 1, Carol Danvers. Captain Marvel hasn't always gotten the most appreciation from fans, especially recently. The latest issue of her comics, Captain Marvel number 8, shipped only 32,939 units in July according to Comicron, so the writers knew they had to do something bold to bring up sales again. And after a whistleblower at Disney reportedly said they cooked some books on her movie, they needed to do something big. Captain Marvel has fought aliens, saved the world, punched Thanos in the face, and rescued X-Men. So what's next? Killing the Avengers. In Captain Marvel number 12, a story arc will start called The Last Avenger, in which Carol will set out on a mission to kill all the Avengers. What would cause one of the world's most powerful heroes to go dark? What is her plan? Is this all a ruse, or is there some other driving force behind her massive 180? Let me know your thoughts in the comments below. Well, there we have it, friends, the top 10 superheroes more interesting as supervillains. Now, don't hate me. I only found the character storylines as villains on this list to be cool. I do still love the original, and without it, we wouldn't be able to have the contrast to compare it to. So, what do you think? What are your favorite goodies gone bad? Let me know in the comments, and since it's on the way down there, be sure you like, subscribe, and ring the notification bell because we're fun. Thank you so much for watching. I have been and shall remain Connor Monroe, and I'll see you in another video.